Renting a car to drive in Israel is recommended if you will be traveling a lot between cities, especially should you want to visit areas that have less frequent public transportation options, like the Dead Sea, the Negev, and the Galilee. If you intend to stay within the bounds of a major city, bear in mind that within and between major cities, public transportation runs fairly well. In fact, driving in major cities can actually be a hassle due to the amount of traffic and lack of parking, especially during the work week. Rental cars tend to be modern and standard, though you will find that the big-name companies usually offer the newest models. There are a number of car rental companies to choose from throughout Israel, including the major brands like Budget, Sixt, Thrifty, Avis, and Hertz, as well as local established companies such as Eldon. To drive in Israel as a tourist, you must hold a valid driver's license. An international one is okay to have also and is a fairly easy thing to get while in your home country, but isn't really necessary. Check and make sure your driver's license is valid before you travel. To rent a car, you must be over 21 years of age and no older than 75, have a valid driver's license and an international credit card. Check the insurance coverage and note what is or is not covered. Consider the cost of driving in excess of the kilometers allotted in the agreement, so that you know what liabilities may be incurred. Consider how long you will need the car. A weekly rental is cheaper than a daily one. The daily rental period is usually exactly 24 hours, so a late returned vehicle, even by a few minutes, might result in a further day's charge. Consider this too, a car may fit 4 passengers, but it may not hold their 4 large suitcases. 5-door cars usually have bigger trunks. And, if you're going to be doing a lot of driving, don't forget to bring some music along for your listening pleasure. When you collect a car at the airport, verify what can happen if for some reason you are delayed. Always check for bumps, dents and scratches, and have these noted on the contract when you take the vehicle from the company. Check the hubcaps too and be sure that dirt isn't covering damage on the car. It is also important to check the interior as well, including the radio, the CD player, and the air conditioner. Also start the car to see if any warning lights appear. Summer is especially busy, so it is best to book in advance, even by as much as a few months. Gasoline is much more expensive in Israel than in the US and Europe, so keep that reality in mind too. The basic rules of driving in Israel are similar to those in the United States. However, there are no turns on red, neither left nor right. All turns usually have dedicated lights which let you know when turning is permissible. Traffic circles are very common. U-turns are allowed unless there is a sign indicating otherwise. Traffic lights either blink or flash red or yellow in between red and green. A yellow, reflective, road safety vest must be kept in the car for those times, may they not occur, when you may need to exit the vehicle on a highway shoulder for whatever reasons one may need to. If you rent a car, check to make sure that the vest is there in the car. I recommend that you use the Waze navigation app when you are driving in Israel. It navigates Israel's streets and roads well, and recommends the best route to travel after taking into consideration, with a bird's eye view, the traffic conditions on each different route, if there are more than one. On Route 6, vehicles are identified electronically via the license plate or a device in the car, and bills are mailed to the address attached to the license plate. There is a popular option among residents to enroll as a subscriber for discounted fees that you might want to look into. Rental car drivers will have any toll fees boosted by service surcharge fees that will be deducted from the credit card left on file with the rental agency. Be aware that the rental company's handling fee can get steep if you aren't careful. Toll fees are based on the distance traveled on toll roads. Highway 6 seriously cuts down on travel time. I highly recommend it. Route 6 is continuously being lengthened, so that ultimately it will connect Eilat in the south with Metula in the north. The speed limit is listed on signs along the roads in kilometers per hour. A ticket will be issued if you exceed the speed limit by at least 10%. Generally, the speed limit on inner city routes is 50 kilometers per hour. Between cities, the routes have an 80 to 90 kilometers per hour limit. Main highways are limited to 100 to 110 kilometers per hour, while on Highway 6, the limit is 120 kilometers per hour. Don't be surprised, however, to see drivers greatly exceeding those limits. You can get a ticket on site from a police officer in an unmarked patrol car, as many drivers do, or one may be issued based on the speed cameras that are on the major highways. All passengers must have seat belts correctly fastened in both the front and back seats. Otherwise you will get a ticket and fined if caught. Babies and young children up to the age of 6 must sit in age-appropriate seats in the back of the car. During the winter months, Between November and April, cars' headlights must be on at all times during the day on roads outside of the city limits. Do not talk on a mobile phone without a hands-free communication system. This violation is prohibited at all times you are on the road behind the steering wheel. Mobile phones happen to be the biggest cause of traffic accidents in Israel. So the authorities do not hesitate to slap violators with a hefty fine. And, if you enjoy alcohol, it is recommended that you do not have even one drink before entering a vehicle as a driver in Israel. The blood alcohol concentration that becomes illegal is 24 milligrams of alcohol per 100 milliliters of blood. Drivers under 24 years old have a significantly lower limit of 5 milligrams alcohol per 100 milliliters of blood. The police can and do stop drivers occasionally for a breath test. In some cases they may even request a urine or blood test. Of course, they will need reasonable cause to ask for such. But, refusing to take a test, if requested, is a criminal offense. For your information, police patrol cars flash their roof lights all the time when they are on duty, not just when they want someone to pull over. If they want a driver to stop, they will use the patrol car speaker and tell the driver clearly what to do. Parking on the street is allowed free of charge if there are no parking signs or markings indicating otherwise. Red and white mean parking is never allowed, while red and yellow markings indicate a taxi cabway station that other drivers are not allowed to even stand in, let alone park there. Blue and white marking indicates paid parking zones where you can park during certain hours for a fee. Instructions on how to pay the fee are usually posted nearby. Sometimes the instructions are only in Hebrew, so you might need to ask a passerby before you leave the car there. If you park in an area that is not allowed in the big cities, you stand a good chance of being towed away. If you unfortunately experience seeing that the car you parked is no longer there, call the hotline 106 to verify whether or not the car was indeed towed, and if so, get directions on how to retrieve it. Car parks are the easiest alternative in big cities, although they are more expensive. Be aware that most underground parking places in Israel require a security check, and security guards may ask you to open your trunk. If you're looking to explore the many delights of Israel by rental car, in order to get the best deal possible, and to get the most out of your car rental experience, here are our top tips. Keep in mind that driving in Israel is a challenge. Middle Eastern mentality doesn't often include etiquette. Most Middle Easterners don't have a lot of patience. The mentality of the Israeli driver ensures that he or she, though mostly he, will tailgate the driver in front, to ensure that no one can move a car in front of theirs. And be careful when you indicate to move into the next lane. The driver who you intend to move in front of may suddenly put his or her foot down in order to close the gap into which you are trying to move. They will beep their horns and behave more aggressively on the roads more than you are probably used to. You don't really have anything to fear, other than losing your cool. Israeli drivers aren't violent, just impatient. Just take it all in stride and keep riding safely. Be attentive and alert to anticipate the road ahead of you, as well as around and behind you. We recommend that you do not travel over the Green Line to the West Bank. Besides, most car rental companies will not allow you to drive their vehicle into the West Bank. Also, crossing the border to the Sinai or to Jordan with rental cars is not permitted. If you drive in the desert area during the winter, check for flash flood warnings for the areas where you plan to drive. They can be quite dangerous in the desert regions suddenly after a heavy rain. Israel has a relatively large number of road accidents on certain roads, especially when there are no barrier separates between lanes. Also, as opposed to roads in the US, dotted lines can exist on two-direction roads, with one lane each direction. Again, drive with caution. When driving around, be aware of bikers, especially in the big cities. Many people ride bikes, and lots of them have graduated to using electric bikes, and not always with a helmet. Check the list in the description below for a choice of the leading car rental companies in Israel. Ask them about their lineup of car models to find the right fit for your needs. Remember and do take into consideration that driving in Israel isn't stress-free, especially in the larger towns and cities. But if you do, drive with confidence.